What's going on, fellow A-plussers? It is your host, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new video today as we have ourselves a bit of a movie review as I had the opportunity to check out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem last night at the movies. I think this movie maybe dropped sometime last week. Finally getting the opportunity to get around to it. This is something that from trailer-wise, I've really been looking forward to, especially since the huge voice cast was in fact announced for a lot of these mutants that were going to be in this particular movie. A lot of very familiar faces and familiar names. If you grew up a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan from the 90s, it was really great to be able to get the opportunity to see so many characters certainly on screen and not feel too overwhelmed. I thought everybody had a really good purpose in this movie. And honestly, if you ask me, I think the great voice casting really helped elevate this particular movie. So I just got in from checking out this film, and I wanted to go ahead and sit down and talk with you guys about it. I'm not sure if you've had the opportunity to check it out, but if you haven't, I highly recommend you certainly go ahead and do so. If it's something you're on the fence about, but you have been a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan before, or at least you know the franchise, I would still certainly recommend checking it out. If I had to go ahead and grade this particular movie, I'd probably give it an A minus. I definitely had a really fun time with this film. I'm trying to think in my head right now some of the cons that might have come with this, but let's go ahead and just dive into it. First and foremost, let me address the elephant in the room, and that's going to be the teenager voices. The voice cast in here, we have Nicholas Cantu as Leonardo. You got Micah Abbey as Donatello, Brandon Noon as Raphael, and Shimon Brown Jr. as Michelangelo. Look, I got to tell you, from the trailers alone, it was I don't want to say it was weird, but it definitely hit me different just based off of the fact that these are true teenagers finally voicing a teenage group of Ninja Turtles, something that we haven't seen before in the past. But I think it really works extremely well in here. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they might have done a lot of their voice work sort of like all together in the sound booth. So they get the opportunity to kind of like vibe off of each other, if you will, right? Taking cues from one another, building on those emotional scenes. And when they're kind of all talking on top of each other in this film, it's really, really enjoyable because they're really truly just bringing their true selves out. And it just truly makes them feel very much like teenagers. And honestly, the pushback that I think some people had about this film, or at least the idea of teenagers voicing it, I think if you watch the film and you see the storyline that they tackle, it actually adds a ton more to the film, if you ask me. I think the fact that this film is really built around the theme of acceptance, whether that be the turtles, whether that be the mutant sort of thing, and consider the fact that they are very much younger. For some reason, I think the idea that you got a teenage cast, kind of having to deal with very much current day acceptance of being a teenager, wanting to go to high school, right? Knowing that you're different, but really wanting to kind of fit in. I think if they went the route of having more adults kind of voice the Ninja Turtles in here, I don't necessarily know if it hits as well. So for me, I absolutely love the voice cast in here. Even somebody like Jackie Chan as Splinter, I thought went above and beyond what I was expecting to see out of him in here. But I think the voice cast really came to play. If there was anybody that I really enjoyed in here voice cast wise, it probably was Ice Cube as Superfly. They just bring a great energy, very kinetic. This movie has a great pace to it, honestly. It never feels like there's a lull whatsoever. There's always something on screen, very meaningful, great laughs, to be quite honest with you. And the action in here is amazing. I'm really glad as to whoever choreographed a lot of these action sequences for animation, I think did a really good job. There are essences, I feel like, of like Jackie Chan isms in here. The idea of like utilizing what's around you and in the environment and things like that. So if you are a big martial arts fan, if you've watched Jackie Chan movies, you definitely know what I'm talking about. But they have some really great action pieces in here. There's a great sequence, and again, I'm not going to try and give too much away, but there is a great sequence where you get the opportunity to see each individual turtle certainly fighting, and it's kind of like intercut over each other, so you can kind of see what everybody's doing at the same time. But it really comes together fantastically well in one gigantic action piece. But the casting, perfect in here. The levity was very light. If anything, I will say, animation wise, I am kind of curious if people will love or maybe be pushed away by the animation. There are aspects to this animation I'm a really big fan of. I mean, character design wise, look, you're not just gonna get straight humanoid, like human-like forms, right? They're gonna definitely be in their own different shapes and sizes when it comes to the animation, but there is like a grittiness about this, especially in the first couple of minutes of the movie, that sort of like set the tone and set the pace, and it just feels um vastly different than any other Ninja Turtle sort of TV series or movie that we've gotten before. So for me, considering the fact that a lot of this takes place in New York City, look, I'm from New York City. There are definitely aspects of the city that are like dingy and gritty and dirty, right? And just you got to be there's like a level of toughness to kind of live in the city. You know what I'm saying? And so I think they portrayed that extremely well, especially visually from the art styles in here. And it is like not just this grittiness, but there is sort of like a comic book art style that's mixed in here. And you know, the animation company that did this movie, I think also did another Netflix movie. Was it the Mitchells versus the Machines or the Machines versus the Mitchells? I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's that same exact style, but this definitely feels much grittier, for sure. And it's not meant to certainly look pretty, but there are definitely moments in here when you've got so many incredible colors, great action sequences. So for me, it was just fantastic to behold on a big screen. I had a really good time with the animation, but I am curious if it's not necessarily going to hit with everybody in regards to the style that they decided to go ahead and present. Storyline wise, though, I really enjoyed it. Seeing how April O'Neil teams up with the Ninja Turtles, seeing the dreams that the Turtles have and the fondness of sort of like that outside world, yet you're continuing to get this message of people aren't going to accept you. Humans are evil, they're monsters, they don't they destroy everything that they certainly do not know. And so I thought they played with those themes extremely well in here, and really kind of helped take the turtles sort of to that next level. You know, there are aspects that I certainly was not expecting in here, maybe like Splinter's origin story. I think you know, might feel a little bit vastly different. But if we do get ourselves a sequel, I definitely do think that they can maybe talk a little bit more about that, expand on that to see if there is anything certainly there. So there are some liberties that I certainly think that they took, but for the most part, I really love the background stories. I love how all the stories kind of intertwined and kind of come together. And again, I think the voice cast really put this over the top. And honestly, I think the soundtrack in this movie is pretty incredible as well. They had some songs in here that just had me bopping throughout this particular movie when I watched it. So I ended up being a really big fan of this movie, guys, and I certainly highly recommend that you check it out. If you're a TMNT fan, you're gonna love it. If you're kind of on the fence, I still think that you're going to love it. And I think you're going to really appreciate just the teenage voices, and how it really all kind of comes together in the story that Seth Rogen is trying to tell. I think they had like 3 to 5 different writers on here. And based off of how many people probably had to give their vision and their ideas, I think this came together extremely well, very tight. And the pacing, very energetic. I definitely would recommend this film. So definitely go ahead and check it out. Again, if I had to go ahead and grade this movie an A minus, I don't think you guys will be disappointed. But those are just simply my A plus opinions. At the end of the day, I want to know yours. What do you guys think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem? Let your thoughts be known in the comment section box below, guys. And maybe it's something we'll talk about later this weekend on A Plus Hero Report. So we'll see you guys Sunday. But until then, do me a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A plus. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.